set to go green with qualifying to kick off the second round of the 2017 VCI powered by AM Engines Florida Winter Tour presented by Fixie Wheels Rotax weekend. The Junior Max drivers, 31 strong, are set to get underway here at the Palm Beach International Raceway. My name is Xander Clements here with Max Speed Entertainment as we get set for qualifying. A great shot of a very bright and sunny day here in Palm Beach, Florida. I am right here on the racetrack at the entry to turn number 1, so we'll wrap up this quick opener before I get run over by the go-karts headed my way because they're about to go full song within the next 3 minutes. We've got a great day of racing action coming your way here on MaxSpeedEntertainment.com and through Facebook. The Max Speed Entertainment official Facebook page will be having Facebook live sessions all the way throughout every afternoon this weekend, and through Race Monitor we'll be putting our broadcast as well, our official live timing and scoring app. A huge thank you also as our secondary supporting sponsors, Motorsport.com, the official digital media partner of Max Speed Entertainment, and to Ray-Ban, the official sunglasses of Max Speed Entertainment, which are very helpful here on a bright and sunny day here in West Palm Beach, Florida, as today. But we'll step off the track in a moment as we get set to bring you the first round of qualifying. Junior Max at 31 drivers. The engine's about to come to life, and we're about to go racing here in Palm Beach. Less than 2 minutes with Junior Max qualifying. Again, over 30 drivers here set to contest for the top spot in West Palm Beach for the Palm Beach International Raceway. 6 total run groups set up today's day of action, 3 total days of official racing, and we kick that off here on Friday with qualifying and the first round of heat races. Junior Max kicks us off, and then we go into the Mini Max division, which is then followed by our DD2 class. Then we'll have Micro Max, Masters Max, and to round off our day, our Senior Max field, which as always has some of the best drivers from around the country. Drivers onto the racetrack here for Junior Max. All drivers, no split here in the groups this weekend. Our biggest class overall is Junior Max, and as they make their way out of turn number 2, Arias Duke Majin leads a big train here into the first round through the hairpins in the back section at the Palm Beach International Raceway. Quite a few drivers deciding to wait a little bit longer before leaving pit lane. Tyler Gonzalez, one of them, he leads just a little bit away from a 5-card pack. Half the racetrack behind Duke Majin. Eduardo Barrichello, Ryan McDermott, 2 other big names here leaving the pit lane at the very end. Opportunity. last weekend's pole sitter over in the Rock edition of the Florida Winter Tour round number 2. Dylan Gennaro currently in the midst of a 4-cart train following his Ocala Grand Prix teammates Eduardo Barrichello and Zachary Hollingshead. Barrichello now going to go to the front of the 4-cart pack, and he'll lead them out of turn number 2. They're just a little ways ahead of Canada's Ryan McDermott, the PSL Karting Burrell, our driver, running behind them just alone, although able to chase that 4-cart pack as they're close enough to remain within sighting distance. Out in the biggest pack on the racetrack right now are a couple of bigger names. One driver moving up into the junior class who had a solid run before some contact ended a great drive through the field. Thomas Nepvu in the PSL Karting Burrell Art chassis running midway through the pack, led by Arias Duke-Majan here as they head through the back hairpins out of turn number 5 and into turn number 6. That time by the stripe, Dylan Gennaro went to the top of the boards over Ryan McDermott by 15 thousandths of a second. 200s back finds the Speed Concepts Racing driver of Tyler Gonzalez in third. Jeremy Fairbairn representing Team Kuna USA P4, and Eduardo Barrichello putting a second Ocala Grand Prix driver inside the top 5, runs in 5th. Zachary Hollingshead 6th. Jeremiah Zolmedo, the Argentinian, runs in 7th. Aiden Keel in the Anderson Racing Team Burrell Art 8th. Thomas Nepvu 9th. Henry Kubitis 10th. Arias Duke-Majan right now heading into turn number 11. Not really with anyone to run down at the moment or get any bit of draft off of, as Jeremy Fairbairn's been able to follow in his tire tracks for the past few laps and try to get a little bit closer to the Duke Spine Cosmic. Duke-Majan going to improve. He will still sit down in the 13th spot. No major change there for the bright purple and white colored machine. He runs just behind Rollison Performance Group's Hannah Greenemeyer, the young lady in her first full season in the Junior Max class, sitting in the 12th spot at the moment, behind Guilherme Romano Pixoto, the Brazilian aboard the Tony Kart, and then again Henry Kubitis currently on the edge of the top 10 as Tyler Gonzalez goes to the top of the boards. He'll go 45 thousandths quicker than Dylan Gennaro. Gonzalez, again, your winner from last week over Gennaro, 1 and 2 for the former teammates. Now, of course, with Gonzalez in his first full year with the Speed Concepts Racing Group. Just 8 minutes for the drivers to turn a fast lap. That's almost less time than some drivers put in at every practice session, so they needed to make sure they got out there and hit their quick lap early, giving whatever space they need or getting behind whatever driver they needed to draft off of. Tyler Gonzalez's fifth lap still yet to be beaten. Gonzalez, Gennaro, McDermott, Fairbairn, and Barrichello, your top five. As Gonzalez starts to work his way up to the rear bumper of Hannah Greenemeyer, if he can time that lap right, he could get a great run up to the Cosmic Driver with a good bit of draft to help solidify his advantage out in front. We'll see what he can do this time by the stripe, as last time was about 4/10 slower for the number 257. Dylan Gennaro, on the other hand, has no one really in front of him at the moment. He's slowly reeling in the kart mini driver of Vinicius Diaz, who has shown some speed in practice but is currently way down the order right now in 24th. Aiden Keel has been able to work his way past Jeremiah Solmedo on the fifth lap as well. He's still just on the outside of the top five. Keel in the seventh spot, Olmedo in eighth. Henry Kubitas has worked his way up to ninth, bumping back Thomas Netvu to 10th. Gary Peck Soto, Gabriel Baco 11th and 12th. Yunvin Sundra Morthy, the Northeastern driver for PSL Karting, has been climbing his way up the charts this session. He sits 13th ahead of Hannah Greenemeyer and Arias Dukmajian. So Tyler Gonzalez now leading a pack with Aiden Keel and Hannah Greenemeyer in tow. Keel also slowing down actually as we've thrown the checker here on final few drivers. Everyone pulling into the pit lane. It is Tyler Gonzalez, your quickest driver in qualifying, putting a fast lap back on lap 5. 3 more ran to the end of the session here with the 8th lap complete. It was not an improvement, but it was enough to take the top spot away from Dylan Gennaro, who held it for the first couple of laps in the session. Gennaro will have to settle for second, which will still be, to my knowledge, his best qualifying run to date in the Junior Max class. Unfortunately for Gennaro, qualifying second this week versus last week is a much bigger disadvantage. This means he will start on the outside lane for all 3 heat races, whereas last week that would play on the outside for 1 and the inside for the other 2. Third goes to Ryan McDermott, the PSL karting driver, with a much better start to the weekend than his first 3 attempts here on the Florida Winter Tour. Between the 2 Rock weekends and the opening Rotax weekend, McDermott has been plagued with a little bit of bad luck and bad positioning. Unfortunately for him, that has cost him a little bit in the points. But with the progressive point system that we have here in the Florida Winter Tour that increases as you go through each round, every round counts a little bit more than the last. And on top of that here, McDermott with a 3rd place qualifying spot could really put himself back in contention for a top 5 finish in the championship if he can really pull off a good run here this weekend. Next up, it's the Mini-Max division. A little bit of a smaller turnout in this class, which has allowed a lot of drivers to choose when they want to go out, or at least if they go out, even go slower on the racetrack until they find someone. It looks like we've got 2 drivers still left on the grid, but the rest of the field has left it, and they're currently on the racetrack right now in about a 6-kart pack, or the first 2 out in front. Still waiting on a couple of drivers back in the grid to make their way out onto the racetrack for qualifying. It is a 12-minute session here for the Mini-Max drivers, much more time than any of the full-size classes. The same goes for the Micromax division. 12 minutes will turn their fastest lap. They also have a slightly longer last chance qualifier, I believe. But the heat races in the final, along with the pre-final, are all shortened. Every single driver in the Minimax class is currently in one big pack. The only driver not in it that was Elio Giovanni. He went out earlier. He's going to back up to this group right now. The number 112 Bennett driver taking a look back. He'll slow down to fall. Santiago Trissini currently leads the field around. So that means it's all about positioning here. It's not even so much about being fast. You've just got to put your far enough back gap that you can close up in the draft to the driver's bumper by the end of the lap, or at least close to it. And that will give you the best drafting opportunity here, at least to put yourself in contention for the pole, because with one big train of go-karts, it's all about the draft. It's not so much about being fast. Like I mentioned, you can be a couple of tenths off the pace and still snag the pole right now with all of these drivers together. Dale Curran is in a very good spot if he can get a little bit closer to that pack of four in front of him, and especially if they pass like we're seeing them do right now down to turn number 11. These drivers also do have the ability to bump draft here from the looks of things, and Justin Arsenault getting a little bit of help from the Tony Kart driver of Chloe Chambers. I believe that might actually be Kiffin Simpson. Either way, at the end of the first full-speed lap for every driver, a couple drivers have already gotten a few in. Justin Arsenault is your quickest here in the Burrell Art for PSL Karting. The Canadian has about a tenth of a second advantage over fellow red and white driver, or red and white nation driver, Dale Curran, who currently has the red and white Tony Kart for Kuna USA underneath him. He sits second ahead of Santiago Trissini, the lead driver for the Bennett trio of Fernando Barrichello and Elio Giovanni, along with himself, Trissini third. Aiden Fox, the lone driver, trying to get everyone to choose the flow here. He sits in fourth for Comp Kart as Justin Arsenault's lap is about to be challenged, this time by the stripe. Dale Curran will be the first one to knock him off. 200ths quicker for the Kuna USA Tony Kart driver. 7 minutes remaining. Any one of these drivers in the main pack could snag the pole, as they're all going to continue to shuffle backwards and try to find a gap. In fact, Arsenault just gave a big gap to the Comp Car driver of Aiden Fox, as Arsenault's now going to fall in line behind Dale Curran, trying to get a better draft lap this time by. Curran leads that pack of three, and then the rest of the field a couple of karts back behind them. But like I mentioned, it's one long train here through the S's as they head down to turn number 11. Last time by, there was a big gap in a few lap times, but for the most part, as soon as they really hit their stride, everyone puts a good lap together. If they're in the draft or they're not, that will be the biggest differentiator, or at least determining factor, of who starts where for all three heat races. Again, that's a big factor here in the Florida Winter Tour. Unlike the U.S. Open presented by Max Speed Entertainment, where the heats are progressive, and the Florida Winter Tour has had progressive heats in the past, these heats are static. And what that means is that exactly where you qualify starts you for Heat 1, Heat 2, and Heat 3. We just had one driver go around there in turn number 1. I believe it may have been Maximilian Opalski there in the number 102 Comp Kart entry. He got a little bit sideways onto the concrete, which has been a big issue for many drivers here this weekend and last weekend as well in the Rock edition of the Florida Winter Tour. The concrete section here is a new addition as of 2015. It was introduced for the 2016 Florida Winter Tour, and we're now visiting it for the second time, and it also drew quite a few victims in the first go-round at Palm Beach. Nothing really wrong with the racetrack or using the concrete other than the fact that it has absolutely no grip in comparison to the asphalt, which is the 99% of the surface here at Palm Beach. That small concrete is forcing drivers to brake earlier than normal and take a slightly different line, and also get onto the gas at a later than normal here with both Rotax and rock-powered machines. Whether they're on the Max 1 by Vega tire or the Rock Cup USA Bridgestone brand, they're still struggling for grip here, as grippy as the Max 1 by Vega tires have been claimed to be, and they have proven themselves to be, as you can see here with all the rubber laid down on the racetrack over the past 2 weeks. A good bit of that is the Max 1 by Vega rubber. You can see quite a few really dark patches near every turn. But even with that laid down in the concrete section, it has not picked up the grip like we had expected it to, or at least hoped it would. Justin Arsenault of Elio Giovanni on the score charts. He was able to go to the top of the boards on his 6th lap around. Giovanni, his quickest has been lap number 4. Aiden Fox has crept back up a little bit. He's in 3rd, going by Dale Curran a few laps ago. Kiffin Simpson, coming to us from Barbados, currently sits in the 5th spot, as it's USA and Canada taking the top 4. Then it's Simpson in 5th. 6th goes to Chloe Chambers, a fellow American, to Aiden Fox and Elio Giovanni. They're 2nd and 3rd. But it's Canada right now with Justin Arsenault topping the boards. Fernando Barrichello spending quite a bit of his time split between Brazil and here in Florida in the United States. And then in 9th, Maximilian Opalski, another American entry here in the 102. He's still just a little bit off the pace of Barrichello. Both drivers separated by about half a tenth and about a 1.1 second gap up to the quickest time set by Justin Arsenault. Arsenault and Aiden Fox have hooked up now. They're going to try and put down a few more fast laps to sort of solidify their gap, as everyone else is really spaced out on the racetrack. No real packs formed at the moment. It's all a big gap farther back. In fact, Aiden Fox now So Justin Arsenault calling it early here in qualifying after setting the quickest time by a tenth of a second. That's preventing Aiden Fox from getting any better at the moment. Elio Giovanni trying to reel in the comp car driver is a last hope for both pilots, as they will need to really hook up and work together to try and put down a lap quicker than the Canadian. Dale Curran nearly a half second back from the fastest time of Arsenault, running alone in the 131. As it looks like Giovanni did close up a little bit to Fox last time, about 0.2 of a second. If he can get a little bit better into the draft, they might be able to work together in the final lap or two of qualifying, but they're running out of time. If they want to get one more circuit in, which I believe they will, they're really going to need to hook up for it. So if Giovanni cannot close up to the bumper this time, it will only be his advantage for the final lap. If he can get up there, him and Aiden Fox might even be able to go a little bit quicker than Giovanni just sucking up in the draft on his final circuit. As they make their way through the S's for the final, potentially final time in qualifying, I believe they should have the ability to run one more lap with 20 seconds on the clock as they head for the final turn. The first driver to receive the checkered flag will be the Bennett driver of Fernando Barrichello as he makes his way into turn number 1. Behind him, Maximilian Opalski will receive the checkers as well. But Elio Giovanni, the only driver right now with the potential to knock off Justin Arsenault based off the draft he's getting from Aiden Fox. And he'll need to make this lap an absolutely perfect one here. The Bennett driver headed through turn number 5. He's still a good ways back through turn number 6. I don't know if he's going to be close enough by the end stretch to try and get a good draft to knock off Justin Arsenault. Arsenault pulling it in just 2 laps after his best, completing 8 and running as fast as on number 6. Arsenault with a 1/10 advantage over Giovanni and an additional nearly 3/10 back to Fox as we round the final turn. The checkered flag in the air. Can Elio Giovanni get it done? As they cross the line, it will not be enough. Elio Giovanni not able to get the improvement he needs. He would have needed more than 3/10 to go quicker than Justin Arsenault. Everyone's tires falling off in the final couple of laps of qualifying for Minimax. And Justin Arsenault his first pole award here in the Rotax division for the Florida Winter Tour. The Canadian had a solid run in the Rock Edition last weekend, and now here for the Rotax weekend, he steps it off on the right foot Justin Arsenault puts the number 136 Barrel PSL karting entry to the top of the boards. And Minimax, he will start on the pole for all 3 heat races in the division, starting with the first round later on today. Next up, it is the DD2 and DD2 Masters division, which for the most part, speed-wise, was all Jeff Kingsley in Homestead. Kingsley, one of the few drivers not double-dipping here in DD2 and Rock Shifter, solely focusing his efforts on the Rotax Max Challenge program. He's here this weekend as he looks to contend for a Florida Winter Tour Championship, and Kingsley, a longtime front-runner in the DD2 class, was one of the quickest throughout this week here in practice. We'll see how he fares against some of the other drivers who have a little more seat time over the past couple of weeks, including Formula K factory driver Gary Carlton, who, again, with the support from Goodwood Cartways, is here this weekend repping the green brand. Davide Greco, Ethan Simeone, also drivers that are here contesting this weekend in Palm Beach that have solely focused in the DD2 class. 3 Barellards here, split between Prime Motorsport, the formerly Maranello North America operation, switching over to the Red Army here for 2017. And they've had quite a bit of success, especially with Robert Wickens putting it on the outside front row back in Homestead. He had a little bit of bad luck through some of the heat races and was unable to bring the team its first win under the new colors. But they've still got quite a few heavy hitters here this weekend that will be looking to pick up where Wickens started off. And that isn't to say Wickens can't do it himself here this weekend either. The DTM driver from Canada in the number 406 has the potential to run just as quick as he did in Homestead, a front runner with nearly wherever he goes. Robert Wickens for the Prime Motorsport team, along with Ethan Simeone, will both be looking to put the red and white colors up front. But the first drivers out on the racetrack with the PSL karting entries: Davide Greco and Jeff Kingsley. 8 minutes for DD2 and DD2 Master qualifying. 1 minute has already elapsed here with me, which means less than 7 minutes remain. The majority of the field still on the grid. They're going to wait quite a few laps before they try and put in their best one. A few drivers more here rolling out. Still quite a few left on the grid. I believe 15 to 16 drivers in the DD2 class. Gary Carlton, Marco Signoretti. Juan Diego Velasquez has also left the pit lane now. He's going to go out for a lap. Alex Da Silva, the other Energy North America driver, along with Signoretti, heading onto the racetrack. And now a good chunk of drivers heading out behind them, including the likes of Michael McCarthy, Robert Wickens, Benjamin Heights, James Armas. It looks like Lucas Auer has just now left the pit lane. He's in the Bryn Nital Racing Orsilon colors. As he heads into turn number 3, a big pack slowly coming together here with Michael McCarthy leading it. Juan Diego Velasquez having none of that. He's going to go off on his own. Still quite a few drivers crawling through the S's. They're waiting before they start to pick up the pace as the number 420 of Cedric Alupian also goes on by McCarthy before McCarthy picks up the full song. These drivers are beginning to impede the lap times of the first few that went out on the racetrack. Davide Greco, one of them. Last time by, Jeff Kingsley threw down a flyer. He went to the top of the charts by a tenth and a quarter over Davide Greco. Igor Molkin there, the Russian, aboard the Barellard chassis, currently in third. Lucas Auer, fourth, but he has yet to put a full speed lap. Only a couple drivers putting in a quick lap to begin things here. And it's Kingsley, Greco, and Molkin. Your biggest pack on the racetrack here in DD2 qualifying is currently exiting turn number 11. At the helm of it is DTM driver Lucas Auer in the BN Racing Barellard chassis. Behind him, it's Robert Wickens, fellow Mercedes DTM driver. And then it's a sea of Barellards with one energy chassis in the mix. I believe that's Marco Signoretti. Michael McCarthy choosing a different path as he follows Cedric Lupian around the racetrack right now. McCarthy P5, Lupian P6. Robert Wickens now going to go fastest by about 3/4 of a tenth of a second over Jeff Kingsley. 700ths the gap between the two Barellard drivers. Ethan Simeone puts the second Prime Motorsport entry to P3. Davide Greco down in fourth. Igor Molkin P5. It's a Barellard lockout of the top six with Michael McCarthy rounding out that as he runs for the Anderson Racing team. Marco Signoretti, the first driver to break it up over the energy chassis for Energy Corsa North America. Another Barellard chassis with Lucas Auer in the BN Racing entry. Then it's Gary Carlton's Formula K, followed by Cedric Lupian's Barellard. Robert Wickens once again. Your fastest, hitting his fast lap on lap number 5. 600ths quicker than Jeff Kingsley. Ethan Simeone, P3. Davide Greco, Igor Molkin, P rounds out the top 5 as Marco Signoretti has now bumped out one of the Barellard machines from that top 6 lockout. He's jumped into the 6th spot ahead of Michael McCarthy. Wickens now going to really slow down one pack out of turn number 2. As everyone's kind of trying to find either a little bit of space or a fast driver to run right behind. Because with the long straightaways here getting up to full song at the Palm Beach International Raceway, A little bit of draft, or at the very least a rabbit to chase, comes into effect big time here, even in some of the fastest classes we offer. Robert Wickens, your top qualifier in the DD2 class. Next up, it's the Micromax drivers. They've hit to the racetrack. No playing games with this class, at the very least, in terms of getting out of the starting gates. Everyone has cleared the grid here within the first 20 to 30 seconds. But now here's where we start to find a little bit of strategy come into play. You've got a 4-cart pack out in front. The rest of the field nose to tail behind them, about half the or a quarter of the track back at Palm Beach. And not too big of a Micromax field either here, as the first driver through appears to be Chloe Chambers as she heads out of turn number 7. Correction, Chambers in the Mini-Max division. A whole new plethora of drivers. That's Enzo Swan in the number 14 Tony kart. Michael Costello was the second out. Miles Hewitt was third. Frankie Esposito fourth. James Zagozi fifth. Georgie Zwain in sixth. Emo Fittipaldi 7th, Danny Dzelski 8th. Again, this is just the running order out of pit lane. It's already beginning to shuffle, as you can see, a little bit of battling down to turn number 11. A few other drivers later on coming out of the pit lane. Jeremy Fletcher's one of them. He leads out Alex Powell and Paul Bacchus. So those three drivers split between Ocala Grand Prix and Speed Concepts Racing were the only ones to not go out for the first lap. They've now joined the field. Just a little ways ahead of James Zagozi, although Fletcher now dropping back. He's going to let a few drivers go by. The first one will be the Bennick entry of Nicholas Ambiato, and I believe Fletcher may want to try and drop behind Agozi, but he's going to sit behind Ambiato, or Georgie Zwain, and be content there. So Georgie Zwain leading a 5-cart, nearly 8-cart pack down to turn number 11. One driver going around here at turn number 1, Michael Costello there in the Tony kart. He'll get the kart refired in the Micromax class. Actually not going to be able to do it. He'll pull off into the grass, and that's going to end his qualifying bid. He's currently down in the 12th spot, and he's got a couple of fast drivers behind him who might be able to surpass him. Paul Bacchus and Jeremy Fletcher are two that come to mind, as they've only turned one lap at the moment. Frankie Esposito and Tom Shoecraft will also be looking to knock back the number 25. So Michael Costello's qualifying run ends with a potential best of 12. We'll see if he can hold on to that as the session continues live here on MaxSpeedEntertainment.com. Miguel Costa's second lap is still the fastest, but Alex Powell just put the Tony kart to P2. He'll now get pushed down to third as Danny Dzelski goes into second. Dzelski in the Vemi kart 400ths back from Miguel Costa. Alex Powell, a 10th and a half back from Dzelski. Nikita Johnson in 4th. Mo Fittipaldi 5th. James Agozi was very quick in practice. He seemed very confident about his kart heading into qualifying. He's down in the 6th spot, though, in the Bennett chassis for Kuna USA. James Agozi just went to the top of the boards in the number 48. Mo Fittipaldi moving up to 2nd along with him. The Formula K chassis for Goodwood Kartways looking strong here this weekend. He's been impressing a few drivers as Fittipaldi has been climbing his way forward up the scoreboards every single weekend here over the past year and a half, as last year being his first full season of national and international level karting. Now here entering his 2nd year in the micro classes. Fittipaldi, P2, just ahead of Miguel Costa. Costa's put in quite a few laps over the past 6 months or so. Some of the top Florida tracks aboard both Micro Rock and Micro Max packages, preparing for the Florida Winter Tour. He sits in 3rd. Danny Dzelski 4th. Paul Bacchus 5th. He's just ahead of his Speed Concepts Racing teammate, Alex Powell. Powell down in the 6th spot. Now to 7th as Georgie Zuane goes up to the top. James Agozi actually goes even faster that time by the number 48. Now 2.5 tenths up on the rest of the Micro Max field. Alex Powell now puts the number 80 up to the top as Miguel Costa goes around in turn number 1. So quite a bit of shuffling both on the racetrack and on the lap charts here in qualifying for Micro Max. Powell going 1.5 tenths faster than James Agozi last time, but putting the number 80 up quickest, jumping from the 6th spot and farther back up to the top of the boards. Alex Powell currently trails his Speed Concepts Racing teammate Paul Bacchus as they head through the S's. They have both moved their way forward in qualifying, although Bacchus not able to get nearly as good of a lap as Powell did last time by. He's still down in 7th as Danny Dzelski has worked his way up into the 6th spot in the number 8 Vimy entry. Dzelski started strong in the opening lap and now has put another good one down. With still 4 minutes remaining, anything can happen here in Micro Max, and James Agozi's proving that as he was your quickest driver, now giving some draft to Alex Powell, has fallen down to 2nd. So with Powell in the tire tracks of James Agozi, Agozi's going to really need to get into the draft to the next driver ahead of him and try to pull away for the number 80 for a chance to knock him back off the pole, because if he remains in the draft, he'll at the very least match Agozi's pace, if not go a little quicker as the draft pulls him forward every single straightaway. In front of them for both drivers is a little bit of a battle between Paul Bacchus and Enzo Swan in the number 14 Tony Kart. Swan with the Rullison Performance Group team Now going to have both Bakus and Agozi go by him into turn number 11 for that 4-cart, nearly 5-cart train. They all go by Nikita Johnson. Now James Agozi goes to the inside of Paul Bakus, and he'll go by. And that's exactly what he needed to happen, is now Powell having to deal with Bakus. He got a little bit tripped up trying to follow through in turn number 1. Agozi also going to go by one more driver in front of the pack. It appears to be the comp car of Miles Hewitt. We'll confirm that as they make their way over through the back hairpins and into the S's once again. Alex Powell not able to get through the pack as quick as James Agozi. Agozi going to need to still put down a very good lap on his own now, as he's got no one to follow out in front, and they're coming up on the 2-minute warning here in Micromax qualifying. This is the last 12-minute session. The next 2 will be 8 minutes. It's the Masters Max class, followed by Senior Max, and then we'll go to our first round of heat races. Only 6 run groups here for Friday and Saturday due to the slightly smaller group of Junior Max drivers, meaning we no longer have to split them for the Rotax Max Challenge competition weekend of the Florida Winter Tour. They can run as a full single group for all 3 heats and for qualifying as well as warm-up. This time by, it will be potentially the checkered flag. James Agozi working his way to the front of the group now, dropping all the way behind it to try and find some better tow. He's now got Emmo Fittipaldi and one more driver pulling in behind him, but it will be too little too late for those 3, as Alex Powell was able to get a little bit of a draft. So has Paul Bakus running behind his Speed Concepts Racing teammate. The 2 Tony karts leading the way in this big train down the backstretch. As they'll round the final turn, 5 seconds remain. It will be the checkers this time. So that means this final lap will determine it. Can anyone knock off Alex Powell from the top of the boards? He'll cross the line first, but actually he'll pull in 1 lap early. Bakus, the first driver to cross the line, as Powell goes into the pit lane. And no one improved. The last few drivers headed through the final turns on the racetrack will be able to challenge either. Alex Powell scores the pole in Micromax qualifying with a great run behind James Agozi, who was able to go to second. Powell just getting a hint to draft off Agozi's lap most of the time. Agozi again going to start on the outside of the front row for all 3 heats. Emmo Fittipaldi, Georgie Zuin make up row number 2. Row 3 will be Bakus and Miguel Costa. Row 4, Danny Dzelski, Nikita Johnson, and rounding out the top 10 in 9th, Jeremy Fletcher, and in 10th, Nicholas Ambiato. Two more qualifying sessions remain, Masters Max and Senior Max, before we get underway with heat racing here in the Rotax Max Challenge weekend of the Florida Winter Tour. We've got to clear the racetrack of the number 25 of Costello, and then we'll go on through to the oldest group we've got on the racetrack, the Masters Max class. Masters Max qualifying underway. Michel Aboisa has been phenomenal here in Rotax Max Challenge competition for the class, especially after the weekend he had in Homestead. But Roberts in the number 628 Tony Kart setting the initial pace here at the end of lap number 1. Danny Robertson, Pete Frisch, Michael Ariema, Juan Monroy, Luis Schiavo, about a 50-50 grid of drivers returning from Homestead and drivers who did not even make it out there. At the end of lap number 2, Scott Roberts still your quickest. We'll see what Aboisa can hit down the straight. And into turn number 1, Roberts and Aboisa separated by 400ths. It's still Scott Roberts topping the boards. 2.5 minutes completed. Masters Max qualifying. 5.5 remaining. One more qualifying session to follow. It will be the Senior Max class. And then we'll move directly into heat racing, beginning with 31 Junior Max drivers. Scott Roberts, Michel Aboisa still the top 2. Pete Frisch, Danny Robertson, Luis Schiavo, Juan Monroy, and Michael Ariema. The running order here in Masters Max.
I know, yeah. I look over here and you got your mouth open and sitting right here on the freaking cooler.
6/1000ths of a second now the gap between first and second. For the first time in the first 3 Florida winter, or the first 4 Florida winter tours, we may see quite a battle here in Masters. Scott Roberts, Michel Aboisa, Luis Schiavo separated by 300ths. Only a 1/10.5 back from Schiavo finds Pete Frisch. Another 0.5 back to Danny Robertson to round out the top 5. 2 1/4 tenths. A much closer field than what many were expecting. in the 7 kart Masters Max Field. 5 of the 7 are American entries. Michelle Aboiza, the Brazilian, currently 2nd. And then the Colombian Juan Monroy in 6th. Him and Michael Ariema still have a little bit of work to do to close up to the top 5, as it's now just less than 0.2 of a second for the top 5 positions, and Roberts still holds. Danny Robertson has closed up to just 400ths back as he's moved into the 4th spot, pushing Pete Frisch down to 5th. 1 lap to go for Scott Roberts, Michelle Aboiza, and Danny Robertson, along with Pete Frisch here as the rest of the field files by. This will be the last chance they'll have to try and run a quick time, as we are within the 1-minute window of qualifying for Masters Max. Senior Max is currently filling the grid. They've got, again, less than 1 minute before they will go hot, because as soon as the Masters Max drivers clear the racetrack, we'll go into the next session. Now, of course, you have to take into account the time it takes them to get off the racetrack, but either way, it will still be a very short turnaround. 20 seconds remaining. A couple of drivers going to get one more run at it. It appears Luis Schiavo is going to be one of those lucky ones. Behind him, one more driver with an opportunity to put another quick time in. It is the 6:27 of Juan Monroy. Checkered flag in the air. Scott Roberts takes it. No improvement from him or from Michelle Aboiza, Danny Robertson, or Pete Frisch as they all come by the line. Everyone a couple of tenths off, which means it will now come down to Luis Schiavo to be the last potential driver to knock off Scott Roberts from the pole. Schiavo definitely pushing here to catch up as Michael Ariema finished his time last time by 1.5 seconds back for Ariema in the number 623 Tony Kart. But as Luis Schiavo crosses the line, he will do it. Luis Schiavo on the final time by in Masters Max qualifying will go 700ths quicker than Scott Roberts. The last driver to turn a full speed lap in the qualifying session, and Luis Schiavo makes it count. The number 646 Intrepid entry for the Intrepid driver program and Goodwood Kartways goes to the top of the boards over a sea of Tony Karts. Scott Roberts gets bumped down to 2nd. He will join Schiavo on the front row for all 3 heat races in what should be a surprisingly exciting Masters Max division, as we normally see 1 or 2 drivers walk away from the field. Now, today, less than 0.2 for the entire top 5. So finally clearing the last part of the grid, Ryan Norberg and Justin Ovejero, the last 2 drivers to head out on the racetrack. Jet Nolan was the first in the NRM Motorsports Tony Kart. Jed Nolan has been putting in a ton of laps here in the winter season between the Rock Senior, the Rock Shifter category, and the Road Senior category. Nolan making some significant strides in his karting career as he looks to also make the switch over to car racing. He's done a test in a U.S. Formula 4 and will be looking to potentially move into that form very soon as well. But right now, focusing on today in the Florida Winter Tour, Nolan, the first driver to start a full-speed lap. We'll see what he can hit here on his second time by, the first time with a good run on the final turn on the racetrack. So Nolan setting the initial pace at a 57.341. Watching for a couple other packs on the racetrack. Austin Garrison leads his fellow J3 competition comp car teammates down to turn number 11. Arthur Lease in the Relizon Performance Group Tony Kart said he was looking forward to this week much more than last week, as last week was quite a bit of a struggle for the Relizon Performance Group driver. He's currently alone right now, just ahead of the Racing Edge Motorsports Cosmic of Logan Cussin. Now, Matias Ramirez puts the Anderson Racing Team Burrell R. Chassis to the top of the boards. Arthur Least jumps up into the second spot behind Ramirez. So Matias Ramirez quit now. He'll get pushed back by Ryan Norberg in the PSL Karting Burrell R. Chassis. 3.5 tenths quicker. Ryan Norberg flying here to start off qualifying. Matias Ramirez closed up to 2 tenths last time by. Norberg going to open up another half tenth as he crosses for his second full speed lap. Closing up to the rear bumper of the Zanardi entry of Victor Franzoni. Franzoni competing last week aboard a CRG chassis, and now this weekend here aboard with the Zanardi group, running in the 7th spot in the number 323. Arthur Least and Austin Garrison bumping back Matias Ramirez. Garrison right now 2.5 tenths back from Ryan Norberg. These two have been the top two drivers, but Arthur Least, again, the RPG Tony Kart, has been really good to start off 2017. He did not have the ideal weekend in the second round of the Rock Cup USA Florida Winter Tour, but was still very strong in the first round of it back in Homestead, finishing top 3 there, and then a top 3 finish in the Rotax Max Challenge Edition the following weekend. And now here for the second Rotax Max Challenge Edition of the Florida Winter Tour, Arthur Least cracking the top 5, running in the second spot, just a half tenth ahead of Matias Ramirez, who was actually able to tie Austin Garrison. Ryan Norberg, his best lap on lap number 3, and I believe he may have actually pulled in. Ryan Norberg pulling in extremely early here to save some time on the tires, if he did pull in. I'm trying to find him on the racetrack. And yes, he has. Ryan Norberg has pulled it in. 3 laps completed, and that's all he needed, a 56.34. He is 2 tenths up on the entire Senior Max field, and they've got 2 minutes remaining to try and knock him off. Austin Garrison giving a hand in the air, maybe a thumbs up signal to the drivers behind him. He's going to go ahead and probably pull in this time. We'll see if he does here, if Max Hewitt is going to go on by the Cosmic driver just ahead of him. Jet Nolan right now looks to be the best of the rest at the moment. He's still nearly 3/10 back from Austin Garrison and is only 5 thousandths ahead of Canada's Samuel Lupien. So Austin Garrison pulling into the pit lane this time. Max Hewitt going to go for another lap. Matias Ramirez will continue to push as well in the Anderson Racing Team Burrell Art, but Garrison calling it in early. He'll complete 5 laps, still sitting in the 4th spot, 2.5 tenths back from Ryan Norberg, as now Matias Ramirez pulls out a little bit of a bigger gap over Garrison. Those two were practically tied on the scoring monitor, but now they're separated by about 300ths. Ramirez still 1/100th off of Arthur Least. If he can find just that extra bit more, he might be able to catch the Brazilian. Checkered flag in the air. Matias Ramirez, one more try. It will not improve. Ryan Norberg runs 3 laps and parks it 2 tenths up. More than that, actually, on the entire Rotax Senior Max field. Matias Ramirez unable to capitalize on his final circuit, having to work his way past Comp Cart's Lane Vacala. And so Ramirez finishes in the 3rd spot behind Brazil's Arthur Least. Austin Garrison going to join Ramirez on row number 2. Jet Nolan and Samuel Lupien were dueling for the 5th spot. And that position did go to Nolan. So Nolan rounds out your top 5. That wraps up Senior Max qualifying and qualifying for all groups. Next up, it will be heat racing time here in the Florida Winter Tour. The Junior Max class, after a short break, will take us with 31 drivers here in Palm Beach to kick off the official race sessions of the Rotax Max Challenge weekend. So it is 2:40 p.m. right now. We go green with the Junior Max Division for their first heat race on the weekend at 3 p.m. We've got about a 20-minute break here, so we'll take a short break on Max Speed Entertainment Live with the MaxSpeedEntertainment.com website official broadcast, also going out on our Facebook page and through Race Monitor, our official live timing and scoring partner. Motorsport.com and Ray-Ban Sunglasses helping us present to you the 2017 Max Speed Entertainment official event schedule. A huge thank you to them for coming on board as our official partners. And, of course, our main sponsor, VCI, powered by AM Racing Engines, sponsoring the Florida Winter Tour and Max Speed Entertainment for 2017, with all of our events officially presented by Fixie Wheels. Again, my name's Xander Clemens here with the Max Speed Entertainment Live crew. We are wrapping things up for qualifying. We just completed the Senior Max class with Ryan Norberg going to the top of the boards by over a 2/10 margin. We'll see if anyone can knock him off in the first heat race of the weekend later on this afternoon. 6 total sessions left in the day, and the first of those 6 kicks off at 3 p.m. So again, a short break before Junior Max hits to the racetrack. lead in turn number 11. So Gennaro back to the top spot. He'll go wide again in turn number 1. Gonzalez again with a crossover. Look to the inside. He won't make the move down to turn number 3. Yes, he will. Tyler Gonzalez trying to stick a nose down the inside. Side by side, Gennaro holds the lead to turn 3. Gonzalez now having to defend back from Ryan McDermott, who is all over the bumper to turn number 5. Dylan Gennaro back to the top spot. He'll lead the way to turn number 6. Dylan Gennaro already pulling out a couple kart length advantage over Gonzalez as that pack has come together. In the lead train down to turn number 11. Into turn number 1. Gennaro takes a look back. Tyler Gonzalez 2.5 kart lengths behind as Zachary Hollingshead goes to the inside in turn number 1. He'll go by Jeremiah Solmedo, but now Jeremy Fairbairn going to get shafted the worst of it. He'll fall to 7th. Here comes Thomas Depvu as well. Out of turn number 5. Gap over Tyler Gonzalez. The Ocala Grand Prix Tony Kart driver had bad luck in all 3 heat races back last weekend in the Rock Cup after qualifying on the pole. Here in the Rotax Max Challenge Florida Winter Tour second round, Gennaro pulling away as they head down the back straightaway to turn number 11. Out of the final turn on the racetrack, Tyler Gonzalez trying to find a little bit more. Ryan McDermott as well as Zachary Hollingshead looks to close up to the top 3. Dylan Gennaro's outright speed at the moment looks to be unmatched. Gonzalez pulled away a little bit from McDermott coming out of turn number 2, but is not as strong through the hairpin section right now. That appears to be Gennaro's strong suit as he heads for turn 5. The Ocala, Florida resident, Dylan Gennaro leading the way here in Junior Max's first heat race on the weekend. Tyler Gonzalez runs in the 2nd spot. McDermott 3rd. Battle for 4th. Henry Kubitas to the inside of Zachary Hollingshead. And Kubitas goes through. Henry Kubitas really getting the CRG to work here in Junior Max. He did not have a good qualifying run, but he has found a lot of speed here in heat number 1, working his way inside the top 5, and now pulling a little gap over OGP's Hollingshead. Tyler Gonzalez closing back up to Dylan Gennaro just a little bit here, looking through the hairpin section as we have gotten past the halfway section of this one. 5 laps in, 5 laps to go. Gonzalez closing back up to Gennaro through turn 6. Dylan Gennaro just got such a strong run out of turn number 7, though. All that work to close up, Gonzalez just lost. He's still just on the brink of the draft from Gennaro. It is a big line of karts behind him. Everyone spaced out a couple kart lengths. But everyone chasing the OGP driver, Dylan Gennaro, in the number 251. Gonzalez, a great drive through turns 1 and 2, trying to find a little more speed. He pulled up the gap, cutting about a kart length to 2 kart lengths, and now it's even smaller as they go through turn number 3. Dylan Gennaro was fast out of the box here in Palm Beach's first heat race for the Rotax drivers, but Gonzalez starting to find some speed in the second half. Ryan McDermott is coming as well. If they battle enough, Henry Kubitas might be in contention, as Zachary Hollingshead has been reeled in by the pack behind him with Jeremiah Solmedo and Jeremy Fairbairn. Into turn number 11, Olmedo down the inside of Hollingshead. He'll go by. Hollingshead also now has to worry about Fairbairn into turn number 1 as Gonzalez sideways contact. Dylan Gennaro holds the lead. Tyler Gonzalez locked up the brakes to stay off the bumper of the OGP driver, and he knocked him a little bit, let him hold the spot, and into turn 3, Gonzalez around the outside. Tyler Gonzalez trying to make it work, can't do it to turn number 3. Dylan Gennaro really backed it off. He got a little bit lucky that Gonzalez wasn't able to capitalize enough, or at least just to not overslow the kart completely. Gennaro nearly got passed on the outside lane by Gonzalez, but did a great job holding him back. As they head through the S's, Gennaro leads by 3, maybe 4 kart lengths over Gonzalez, and Ryan McDermott has Henry Kubitas hot on his heels down to turn number 11. A 4-kart breakaway out in front. Kubitas pulling up to the bumper of McDermott. He'll stay there for now. Maybe a look to the inside, but it's not going to happen this time as Gonzalez sideways through turn number 1. Down to turn 3. Here comes Kubitas. He'll McDermott in the back hairpin section. A clean pass for Henry Kubitas, who looks to be one of the fastest drivers on the racetrack. Henry Kubitas might run out of laps, though, if Gonzalez cannot get up there to mess with Gennaro a little bit more. He's still close, but it'll take him a lap or 2 to get by Gonzalez, and then another lap to close up to Gennaro after the pass is made. Because this time by, we will be closing up to the final couple of laps. We're already deep into the second half of heat number 1. I believe it'll be 2 laps to go, and it is double 6 in the air for OGP's Dylan Gennaro. A 2-kart advantage to Tyler Gonzalez, now down to 1. Gennaro defending a little bit as he goes down to the inside. Here comes Gonzalez. A great move. Tyler Gonzalez in turn 2. Henry Kubitas trying the inside on Gonzalez. 2 by 2 down to turn number. Ryan McDermott throws it in late. He'll try and go by Gennaro. Can't do it. Gennaro holds 3rd. He'll go wide, though, in turn 3. Back and forth for the 3rd spot. Tyler Gonzalez, a great move, realizing Gennaro was starting to feel the pressure to stick a nose down the inside in turn 2. But here comes Henry Kubitas. Kubitas sideways there through turn number 8 as he tried to get up to the bumper of Gonzalez. A little too close. And now Gennaro back to the bumper in 11. Here comes Dylan Gennaro back to the inside of Henry Kubitas. Kubitas trying the crossover, white flag in the air. Gennaro needing to let him in line. Kubitas going to let him go as they go down to turn number 1. Contact. Kubitas gives the bumper to Dylan Gennaro. Tyler Gonzalez going to get away as they go down to turn number 2. Kubitas now going to try and push Gennaro up to Gonzalez. Into 3, Gonzalez defends, and now we're bumper to turn 3 and 4. A big skirmish behind them, about 6 karts, all battling for the 5th spot, led by Jeremiah Solmedo. But our focus is on the top 4. Gonzalez defends to turn number 6. Can Gennaro throw it in 7? Too far back. No move yet from the OGP driver. A good run through the S's could set up a pass. Gennaro trying to cross him up. He's a kart length back, now onto the bumper. Trying to get some help from Henry Kubitas. Into turn number 11. Bumper to bumper for the lead. Kubitas moves Gennaro up the racetrack. Side by side. Here comes Henry Kubitas. He'll win heat number 1. Henry Kubitas with a bump and run on Dylan Gennaro. And then Gonzalez getting bogged down at the exit of turn number 11. Henry Kubitas, what a drive to finish off the first heat race of the weekend. Henry Kubitas, the Colombian aboard the CRG, came all the way from 7th at the end of lap number 1 to reel in the leaders on his own, make the right move at the right time, and he will lead the last lap, the only lap that matters here in heat number 1. Gonzalez finishes 2nd. 3rd was a side-by-side duel between Gennaro and McDermott. It went to Gennaro by just 300ths. McDermott finishes 4th, minus Olmedo 5th. Thomas Nepvu finishes 6th. Zachary Hollingshead 7th. Aiden Keel 8th. Jeremy Fairbairn 9th. Gabriel Bacco unofficially 10th for that driver. Again, made up a couple of spots off the start after the finish line was already passed. Next up, it will be the Mini Max category. Ages 9 to 13 years old here in the Florida Winter Tour US Rotax Max Challenge Edition. Set to get underway. Mini Max onto the racetrack as they exit the grid. This year, the switch back to the 950mm cadet chassis. Spending a couple of years on the Sportsman division, the 1010 and 1020 chassis, a little bit larger for some of the drivers. Now in Mini Max, back to the popular format. And Elio Giovanni, Aiden Fox, Dale Curran, Kiffin Simpson. The top four starting grid. Justin Arsenault is set to start, I believe, at the tail end of the field. And I'm not sure what the penalty may have been for Canada's Justin Arsenault, maybe coming across the scales underweight, as he was very quick, of course, in qualifying. But regardless, Elio Giovanni and Aiden Fox now make up the top two. Dale Curran and the number 121 Barbados entry of Kiffin Simpson or the Tony Kart make up row number 2. We'll watch the field complete their warm-up lap here at the Palm Beach International Raceway. And as they make their way down to turn number 1, again, Fox and Giovanni, a comp cart and a Bennett, set to lead your field of the green. Justin Arsenault, the PSL Karting Burrell Art driver, starting at the tail end of the field in the number 136. Will be one driver to keep your eye on, as he's got quite a bit of work to do here in Palm Beach, but the potential to do it in a slightly smaller than usual Mini Max division. At 9 total karts here competing this weekend on the Palm Beach International Raceway. Justin Arsenault not having the hardest job in the world work his way forward, and he's got a lot of speed here with the red and white machine. We'll see if he can capitalize on it in the first heat races. He's going to have to do this every single heat this weekend to set up a good starting spot for the pre-final, because these heats are static. It is exactly where you qualify, and unfortunately for qualifying results of Justin Arsenault, that is bad news. He is going to lay back a little bit from the field. 2 by 2, 4 rows set to come through the S's as they head down the backstretch towards turn number 11, where we look to get them started. Into the tram lanes and looking for the green. We've got it. Green flag to turn number 1, and we're underway in Mini Max. Again, turn number 1 off the start. That's turn number 11 on the standard racetrack. Across the timing, one driver off in the dirt. That might have been Barrichello. Fernando Barrichello with a bad start as Elio Giovanni tries the inside of Dale Curran. Dale Curran from row number 2 going to the lead as he leads the way out of turn number 2 now and heading to turn number 3. So a row 2 starting spot has now allowed Dale Curran to slip into the lead. Elio Giovanni runs in second as the rest of the field files through. Aiden Fox falling way down the order, starting on the front row. He's all the way down to 6th now and still fighting for it. Justin Arsenault, on the other hand, has gone just as much forward as Fox has gone backward. He's now into position number 5, half a lap complete for the Canadian. As he closes up to the number 133 of Chloe Chambers and looks to the inside in turn number 11. Here comes Justin Arsenault, P4 from last on the grid up to 4th at the end of lap number 1. Into turn 1, Elio Giovanni trying the inside on Dale Curran. They make contact. Around goes Giovanni. Curran gets Kiffin Simpson goes to the lead. Justin Arsenault, you're now into second as he goes to the bumper. He'll look to the inside. New leader, Justin Arsenault. In a lap and a half, the PSL karting driver has gone through to the top spot. Justin Arsenault, your leader through turn number 6. Kiffin Simpson runs in second. Dale Curran down to 3rd. Aiden Fox, P4. Maximilian Opalski 5th. Chloe Chambers in 6th. Elio Giovanni recovering from the spin. He runs in 7th. Santiago Tracini 8th. Eduardo Barrichello in 9th. Kiffin Simpson hanging strong here. He's back to the bumper of Arsenault. He'll go to the inside in turn one. Kiffin Simpson as Arsenault, and they both slide sideways. Simpson goes through to the lead. Again, the Mini-Max and Micro-Max drivers on the Mojo tires still. They're running the tire that was used in the Senior Max and DD2 categories for the past couple of years, so it is a softer compound than what they're used to, but still not nearly as soft as the brand new Max 1 by Vega tire. Again, these Mojo tires are really not responding well to the concrete from what we're seeing, as it's very rare you see someone as talented as Elio Giovanni struggle to keep the cart from coming out from underneath him, as there goes Justin Arsenault in turn 7, but he'll get crossed up by Simpson. Kiffin Simpson holds the lead. Arsenault again back to the bumper, over to turn number 11, down the inside. Justin Arsenault back to the top spot in the final turn. Kiffin Simpson crosses him over, side by side down the front stretch. Still side by side to turn number 1. Simpson going to move up the racetrack last second as they get into the braking zone. They both slide sideways. Arsenault goes through. Dale Curran goes by Simpson. But on top of Arsenault, Dale Curran, a pinball here in Heat 1. Here comes Simpson back to the lead. Dale Curran going to go by both drivers in turn 3. What a move by Dale Curran as he now comes under fire from Simpson in 4. Dale Curran back and forth with Kiffin Simpson as they exit turn 5, still side by side for the lead into turn. What a battle here in Mini-Max. Dale Curran, your leader. Simpson gets sideways out of turn 7. Now Justin Arsenault in third. Aiden Fox runs in the 4th spot. Into turn number 11, change in second. Justin Arsenault goes by Kiffin Simpson. Dale Curran now with a little bit of a gap. Curran by maybe 2 cart lengths as they go side by side. Simpson another crossover this time. He'll clear Justin Arsenault. But Arsenault going to slide it back under braking. He'll go by Simpson. Simpson trying to cross him over. He'll do it. What a run by Kiffin Simpson, continuing to fight for every single spot. But now Dale Curran with a big gap over the rest of the field. Out of turn number 7, it looks like we've got one of the drivers in the lead pack with a problem. The pipe possibly coming loose, losing an exhaust that looks to be either Aiden Fox or Justin Arsenault through the S's. Just speculation here as we've got the cross flags in the air. Dale Curran trying to get away. Kiffin Simpson trying to run him down. What a run here for Kiffin Simpson. In only his second ever race weekend on the Rotax Max Mini-Max package, he's running up with the leaders, some of the best drivers in mini competition from across the country and across the North American continent, including Canada here with Justin Arsenault. Dale Curran as well, the Canadian under the Kuna USA banner, had a great weekend in the U.S. Open of Las Vegas, running second to Kuna USA's Jetpack Jack Crawford. Now battle for second. There goes Arsenault on by Simpson. Justin Arsenault signaling to Kiffin Simpson to work together. We'll see if Simpson will comply as they exit the final turn. They've only got a few laps left to do it. 3 laps to go here in Mini-Max. Justin Arsenault still trying to make up some lost time. He's starting to pull away a little bit from Kiffin Simpson as he has 3. Out of turn 5, the last of the back hairpins, and into the S's section. Dale Curran still leads. The Kuna USA Tony Kart showing the way here in Mini-Max competition as Arsenault tries to pull that pack of three back up to the bumper of the 131. Four laps to go here in Mini-Max. I stand corrected, a 10-lap heat race. What was 8-lap heats for the Mini Rock and Micro Rock drivers. This is an extended day here for the Mini and Micro Max drivers. They've got 10-lap heat races here. And out of turn number 2, Arsenault is definitely reeling in Dale Curran. Two laps to go for Dale Curran. Justin Arsenault is definitely closing the gap here in the Burrell Art chassis. He's 4 karts back now as they head to turn number 1. So a loose exhaust for Justin Arsenault, not holding the Canadian back. And we're about to see the 2 Maple Leaf drivers begin to go toe-to-toe for the top spot in Mini-Max. We saw a great battle here to kick off heat number 1 in the second group on the running order. Dale Curran now about to see the second fight of the race as Arsenault is closing the gap soon as they start to trade the lead back and forth. Kiffin Simpson, Aiden Fox will look to be there to capitalize. They're just as far behind Arsenault as Arsenault is from Curran. Heading through the S's this time, a lap and a quarter remains. White flag in the air. Dale Curran trying to get away. Battle for third. Here comes Kiffin Simpson under fire from Aiden Fox. Fox goes through to P3, but Simpson around the outside, side by side for third, unable to get it done. They both lose a lot of time, though, as Arsenault continues to close up to your race leader, Dale Curran. Dale Curran trying to hang on here. Justin Arsenault's come from the tail end of the field up to the lead in Mini-Max as they exit turn 5. A 4-kart length gap, nearly 5 from Dale Curran back to Justin Arsenault. Challenge for Dale Curran. Arsenault closed the gap significantly. It will not be enough. Canada's Dale Curran, after a big win in Homestead, will round the final turn on the racetrack. He will win the first heat race of the weekend in Mini-Max. DD2 about to get underway. Jeff Kingsley, Robert Wickens, Davide Greco, Ethan Simeone, Marco Signoretti, all of the top drivers, quite a few Canadians up in the bunch. The highest running American, I believe, was Michael McCarthy in qualifying. But Robert Wickens, on one of his final laps, was able to go to the pole as he leads the field here through turn number 7. He'll bring it nice and slow through the S's. Jeff Kingsley going to join him on the front row. Then it'll be Ethan Simeone. And Davide Greco, row number 2. Into the starting lanes for DD2. Looking for the green, and we've got it. Start in DD2, and Robert Wickens with a good jump. Whoa, one driver near the back of the field gets turned around in turn number 2. Drivers hard into the outside wall out of the first turn off the start. That included the energy chassis of Marco Signoretti, and I believe one of the Bernard entries. I'm not fully sure. Gary Carlton with a bad run out of turn number 2, lost nearly every spot in the main group. Robert Wickens, on the other hand, a good start. The DTM driver leads the way. I believe that was Davide Greco who was involved with Marco Signoretti out of turn number 11. Actually pushed the barriers back a good ways there at the exit of the corner. Got hooked up. One driver went up on 2 wheels with how hard they made contact. Now down to turn number 1, Jeff Kingsley sitting behind Robert Wickens. Wickens nearly blowing the corner as he went through the concrete section. 3 drivers nose to tail out of turn 2. Igor Molkin, the typical Masters driver, currently leads the second group. Behind him, it's Michael McCarthy and Lucas Auer as the top 3 start to decide when and where they want to duel. Gary Carlton, I believe, has pulled in with an issue, a problem for the Formula K factory driver. As Wickens leads through the S's, Jeff Kingsley trying to close the gap up to the bumper. Michael McCarthy also to the bumper of Igor Molkin. Battle for the lead. Jeff Kingsley through to the top spot over Robert Wickens in turn 11. Down to number 1, Kingsley will defend. Wickens to the outside. Ethan Simeone right behind him. Battle for 4th as well. Michael McCarthy goes through on Igor Molkin. Molkin going to try and get him back though out of turn 2. Side by side still for the 4th spot. McCarthy, a complete crossover down the straightaway. He'll go through, and McCarthy takes back P4 from Molkin. Into turn number 6. Jeff Kingsley, your race leader. Robert Wickens in second. Third, Ethan Simeone, the Prime Motorsport team. Second and third on the racetrack as PSO Karting's Jeff Kingsley starts to pull away. Ethan Simeone trying to play nice here with Robert Wickens and stay behind him. But right now, Jeff Kingsley appears to be unmatched. Heading to turn number 1. Simeone just working together with Wickens. He'll go deep into the braking zone in turn number 1. Not actually going to lose too much time, though, as they exit 2. In fact, he might have gained a little bit on your race leader, Jeff Kingsley. After going by Michael McCarthy here, still under a lot of pressure from Igor Molkin and Lucas Auer in that 3-cart pack. Cedric Lupien currently runs 7th on the racetrack ahead of Juan Diego Velasquez. Through the S's here, Jeff Kingsley making it look easy. The number 416 Barellard of Jeff Kingsley leads by 3 car lengths now back to Robert Wickens. That gap trying to be stretched a little bit. Wickens got a good run to the final turn on the racetrack, though. He'll hold it at just 2 to 3 kart lengths to turn 1. Well, it did appear here in the opening couple of laps after taking the position that King was able to start to walk away from this one. He is still away, not by all too much, though. Wickens might have a little bit of a strategy with the tire pressure and chassis setup. We'll see if that will pay off for him as we're going to close up to the halfway point here, headed to turn number 1. Ethan Simeone lost a lot of ground there as we've got a change in fourth. Igor Mulkin going back by Michael McCarthy there in turn number 1. Cedric Lupien has reeled in that pack of 3 in the battle for 4th. He's all over the bumper of Lucas. Out. Your leaders have really spaced out. I don't know if it's a problem for Ethan Simeone or he's just lost a little bit of pace to Robert Wickens, but he's fallen way back in the past lap and a half. Ethan Simeone taking a look under his shoulder there to see if there's something going wrong with the power plant powering his Burrell Art chassis here in DD2 as Lucas Auer defends to the inside of Cedric Lupien into turn number 1. Meanwhile, out front, Jeff Kingsley still just steadily pulling away from Robert Wickens. Wickens last time by didn't lose too much time to his fellow Burrell Art chassis driver as it's the Red Army taking the top 5, 6 spots. 7 if you go all the way back to Cedric Lupien. And then the next kart you'll find will be the comp kart entry of Juan Diego Velasquez. Ethan Simeone still losing a lot of ground. He's being reeled in a good bit by the pack behind him, and it looks like that issue is continuing to worsen here for the driver in the number 408 Prime Motorsport entry. Meanwhile, Robert Wickens actually cut in a little bit here this time to the hairpin section to Jeff Kingsley's advantage. So we could see a battle for the lead once again in Homestead. These two got together in the first heat race on the weekend, battling for the top spot. Kingsley tried to make a move to the inside in turn 5. It actually really hurt both of their days and sent them deep into the starting order come the free final on Sunday morning. Into turn number 1, battle for 5th. Michael McCarthy to the inside of Simeone. That's actually for 4th. Now Simeone going to lose 5th there to Lucas Auer. In turn 3, he'll go by. Ethan Simeone got a significant power disadvantage right now into turn number 4. That pass has given Igor Mulkin a little bit of a bigger gap here on that pack of 4. And in fact, Mulkin here moved up, or moved down, I should say, but moved up in competition from the DD2 Masters class to the DD2 division. Now he is holding his own, no problems for Igor Mulkin. P3 right now as Simeone loses another spot, this time to Cedric Lupien down the straightaway to turn 11. Again, nothing wrong I can tell from my vantage point that Ethan Simeone is doing. He is just down on power whatever the issue is, hopefully the Prime Motorsport guys can get that settled out for tomorrow. He was very quick at the beginning before the engine started to have an issue. It looks momentarily like Robert Wickens might be able to reel in Jeff Kingsley, but at the moment I don't know if it will happen. Our third class on the day, not as exciting to start here as the first two were. Kingsley leading by a comfortable margin back to Wickens. He'll come to see 2 laps to go this time by. So it's Kingsley and Wickens with about a half straightaway, nearly full straightaway gap. Back to Igor Molkin in third. Michael McCarthy still runs in the 4th spot. Juan Diego Velasquez P5. 6th, Cedric Lupian. 7th, Ethan Simeone, but he's about to lose that as Auer continues to defend from Lupian. 7th goes to Juan Diego Velasquez. White flag in the air for Jeff Kingsley. He'll take a look back down the front stretch. No need to worry. He's got a big gap back to Robert Wickens, who has just put it on cruise control now. Wickens also knows he's got no pressure from behind as they head for turn 3. The battle we're focused on, at least the closest thing to a battle that you can focus on, is the 1/5 spot between Lucas Auer and Cedric Lupian. The DTM driver under heavy fire from the Canadian as they head into turn number 4, and now Lupian a slide job to the inside, side by side still for the 5th spot over to 5, and Auer will take it back. That may hold that to the end, but the one driver who has held on and done more than even holding on is Jeff Kingsley as he heads down the backstretch for the final time today. Kingsley, a great run to start his weekend here for the 2nd round of the Winter Tour in Rotax Max competition. He wins DD2 heat number 1. Wickens places in 2nd, 3rd to Igor Molkin, 4th gonna go to Michael McCarthy, 5th will go to Lucas Auer, 6th to Cedric Lupian, and 7th to Juan Diego Velasquez. Ethan Simeone falls all the way down to 9th by the end due to whatever the engine issue was. A couple of drivers again involved in that first turn incident off the start, including Davide Greco and Marco Signoretti, 2 drivers starting just on the inside edge of the top 5. That was a hard impact as well there into the highway barriers, the exit of the first turn off the start. As we get set to clear the racetrack, the next class to go out, the youngest group racing with us here this weekend, Micromax. At 7 to 10 years of age, they still put on some of the best racing you will see. Line the fences, get in the grandstands. The Rotax Micromax drivers are fired up and set to do battle. We need the drivers, the number 251 and 406, to report to the steward's office. 251 and 406 to the steward's office. Alex Powell in the Speed Concepts Racing Tony Kart, his best qualifying run of 2017's year here with 5 races completed the national calendar. Alex Powell, again, your quickest driver in qualifying, puts him on the pole for all 3 heat races. James Agozi, the driver who went and represented USA alongside Diego LaRock in the World Finals, the inaugural Micromax World Championship race where Agozi was in contention for the win on the final lap. He is still one of the youngest drivers of the Micromax class, competing up in the Mini Rock division, but staying in Micromax for possibly one more year. Under the Kuna USA banner, he starts in the 2nd spot. Emo Fittipaldi had a great run in qualifying as well. I believe he'll start inside the top 5 in the Formula K cadet entry. Fittipaldi's been just chipping away a little bit more every single session of every single race weekend this year to work his way towards the front of the pack. George Zouin coming to us all the way from the United Arab Emirates, the UAE, competing under the with the Bennett chassis. I believe he's done some races with Ben Cooper Racing. Now with the Bennett colors of the number 23, George Zouin starting inside the top 5. The highest running Bennett entry, I believe, this weekend is all 3 Minimax drivers struggled in the first heat race. We've still got 1 driver trying to catch up at the tail end of the field, the number 55 AM Engines VCI of Paul Adrande. He was set to start in the 12th spot. Unfortunately, I don't believe he'll be able to get there unless he cuts the racetrack. After going through the rows, row number 3 sees Miguel Costa, who has had a great start to the new year, alongside Speed Concepts Racing driver Paul Bacus, who rounds out the top 5. Row number 4 sees Nikita Johnson alongside Danny Dzelski. The Nitro Kart for Johnson here, the newly announced Nitro Kart dealer, AKT Racing Team. The banner under which we find Johnson compete. Dzelski, on the other hand, normally under the J. Howard MDD banner. He's here this weekend as a privateer aboard the Vemi Kart, and we're going to wave off this first attempt at the start to let the number 55 of Paul Andrade catch up to his position. So no green on the first attempt for the Micromax class. And again, not a bad start at all for the for the front row. We're just going to wave this one off to give everyone a chance to get into position. Jeremy Fletcher has been a front runner in the micro classes for over a year now, and Fletcher, in what could be his last season of Micromax competition, did not have a good qualifying run. The OGP Tony Kart driver, starting just inside the top 10 on the throw, has a little bit of work to do to get himself higher up on the order. One driver coming to a stop here at the entrance to turn number 5. I believe they'll get back going and rejoin the field. We've got them nearly parked here headed through. A couple of drivers stalling out. One of them is your pole sitter, Alex Powell, with a problem. 5 drivers all stalled out here with how slow we got them in Micromax, and Powell with an issue. Along with Jeremy Fletcher, multiple drivers trapped behind him. Fletcher appears to be able to get back going. Alex into the go-kart. He might have been beached on the curbing. Kinds of problems. What a heartbreak here to start heat number 1 for Alex Powell if he can't get that machine refired. Still quite a few drivers not in their positions as they all try to form up here. I don't know if we're going to throw the green on this one. This is a very jagged out start. We're going to give it to him. Green flag. Micromax underway to turn number 11. Green flag to turn number 1. Emo Fittipaldi and James Agosti side by side down to turn number 1. Alex Powell with an issue. The pole sitter set to start on the inside of row number 1. Has been sidelined under pacing here. Whatever the issue was with the number 80, he is now going to sit out heat number 1. What an unfortunate start. James Agosi goes back by Emo Fittipaldi for the lead in turn 3. James Agosi leads the way over Emo Fittipaldi. Miguel Costa has slotted into 3rd. Fourth is the Bennett number 23 of Georgie Zuin. 5th, Danny Dazelski, but he's under fire from Ed Swan. The RPG Tony Kart to the inside in turn number 11. Not going to be able to do it. Swan stays in 6th. 7th appears to be Nikita Johnson, and the rest of the field behind them with a good ways back. Correction, Paul Bacchus there battling for 5th. He'll go by Dazelski. Paul Bacchus now, the Lone Speed Concepts racing entry after Powell having a mechanical failure on the pace lap. Battling back and forth, Bacchus now losing the 5th spot back to Nikita Johnson, allowing the top 4 to get away, and more importantly, James Agosi to try and stretch out his lead. Emo Fittipaldi running in the 2nd spot here in Micromax as they exit turn 7, gap 4, maybe 4 to 3 go-kart. In fact, Fittipaldi closing big time here through the S's. Emo Fittipaldi with a great run down to turn number 11. He'll close the gap now to a car length as they head to the final turn on the racetrack. James Agosi leads, but Emo Fittipaldi not giving up. He'll close back to the bumper into turn number 1, and he'll stay right behind the number 48. Georgie Zuin onto the bumper of Miguel Costa now as they head through turn 2. Behind them, Nikita Johnson, Paul Bacchus, Danny Dazelski. Then it's going to be Jeremy Fletcher, followed by 3 other drivers. Fletcher now under fire for the 8th spot into turn 3. A side-by-side battle still to turn number 5 as they head through the back section back outside the top 5. Meanwhile, for the lead, Emo Fittipaldi is up to the bumper of James Agosi here as they head through the son of Formula One legend Emerson Fittipaldi. Emo Fittipaldi up to the bumper here as they head down to the final turn on the racetrack. He'll stay nose to tail to your race leader, James Agosi. Bennett driver in the top spot. We do not know for how long. Fittipaldi waiting to make his move. He'll stay glued to the bumper down to turn 1. Miguel Costa really it down a little bit too much. Him and Georgie Zuin back we go out of turn 2. Zuin goes through to the 3rd spot. Still battling for fifth, Nikita Johnson and Paul Bacchus now just going back and forth, as well as the third place fight, but the top two not doing that yet, and that's giving them a bigger gap than anyone else on the racetrack. James Zagosi, Emo Fittipaldi set to settle it amongst themselves here in the first Micro Max seat on the weekend. Through turn number one, Agosi and Fittipaldi continue to lead the field. A big gap for Team Kuna USA's James Agosi. Down to turn three, Fittipaldi closing back up into the gap. And as we see them through turn number four, it's Goodwood Cartways in the green and white colors of Formula K versus the red and white Team Kuna USA standard sticker kit. Into turn number six. This time by, we will see them put another lap down and another lap at the moment from the looks of things that will go to James Agosi. Emo Fittipaldi sitting still in the second spot. Laps to go next time by here for Kuna USA's James Agosi as we are past the halfway point here. 4 laps to go, 6 laps completed currently, 3.5 now as they enter the back section. Agosi still leads over Fittipaldi, battling for the third spot. Miguel Costa going toe-to-toe with the Bennett number 23 of Georgie Zuin. But Costa has worked his way back by in the Barrett machine, now headed for turn number 6. And Zuin down to 4th once again. Nikita Johnson's pulled away from Paul Bacchus to hold on to the 5th spot comfortably. Bacchus sitting 6th, 7th, Danny Dzelski. 8th right now looks to be Jeremy Fletcher. And 9th, I believe, should be the number 55 of Paul Adrande. Tenth is going to be the comp card of Miles Hewitt as we watch your leaders come down by the line. 3 laps to go for James Agosi. Two laps to go this time by for Team Kuna USA's James Agosi. Emo Fittipaldi representing Goodwood Cartways in Formula K. Right behind him and still staying there, Agosi signaling to work together here as they go down to turn number 1. Battling back and forth for third. Now this time Georgie Zuin goes by Miguel Costa, he'll take back the third spot in the panic number 23. Still no battle for the lead, no challenge yet from Mo Fittipaldi. He's sort of been glued back in sort of an invisible bubble of about a half cart length since closing the gap up to James Agozi. As he heads to the S's, Fittipaldi, another little bobble out of turn number 7, lengthens that gap up to the number 48. And as they head through turn number 10 and down the stretch to 11, Fittipaldi trails by a cart length and a half. One lap to go this time by James Agozi leads Mo Fittipaldi in second. Still just a tad back to turn number 1. Agozi just a little bit deeper into the braking zone. Fittipaldi tries to cross him over through turn 2. He'll close up to the bumper, not enough to get by. Into turn 3, Mo Fittipaldi right to the inside. What a move by Mo Fittipaldi, side by side for the lead in Micromax. James Agozi holds the inside though for turn 4. Fittipaldi crosses him up, back to the bumper into 5. Fittipaldi again to the inside. Contact for the lead. James Agozi holds the top spot. A great battle here in the Micromax. First heat race on the weekend. Agozi by 1 cart length now through turn 7. Mo Fittipaldi though, a good run through the S's, could set up a move in 11. He's got it from what I can tell right now through turn 10. Mo Fittipaldi closing into the draft of James Agozi. He'll go to the outside. Agozi not all the way down to the bottom. Out of the final turn. Fittipaldi not going to get there. James Agozi wins heat number 1. Third is going to go to Miguel Costa. Fourth, it appears, to Nikita Johnson. And fifth to Paul McHugh. Something happened here to the number 23 of Georgie Zuin on the final lap. I'm not sure what the issue was for the Bennett driver, but he's fallen behind Paul McHugh to finish in the 6th spot, ahead of Danny Dzelski in 7th. Either way, your winner in heat number 1, using his experience from national level and international level competition, James Agozi takes it here in the Team Kuna USA number 48 for Micromax. 2 more races to go here to round off our day. Masters Max is next up, and Senior Max will complete the afternoon. Luis Schiavo pulled a rabbit out of the hat in qualifying for the Masters Max Class. He was the last driver to receive the checkered flag, and on his final circuit around, he went to the top of the boards, besting Scott Roberts. The two drivers have represented Team USA on multiple occasions in the Rotax World Finals. Schiavo spent a lot of his time doing receiving his tickets to the DD2 Masters category. That's exactly the class they run over in the World Finals, as there is no Rotax Masters division there. Roberts has stayed more in the single speed stuff, and this weekend with the DD2 Masters class practically non-existent, Schiavo is committed for 2017 to move down into the single speed stuff once again, the Masters Max class. And the intrepid driver showing that the speed is still there no matter what engine package he's on. He and Scott Roberts make up row number one. Michele Boisa, who was dominant in Homestead, the Orsilon Racing Tony Kart, going to start on row number two, and quite a few drivers as well. All of your top five, in fact, were within 2 to 3/10 of a second throughout the entirety of qualifying. We expect actually a really good race here in Masters Max. It's not one driver out in front of the field like we've seen many times in the past. This class, albeit a little bit small, should put on quite a good show. The second to last race of the day, on to the power. Too fast, no green there. That time by, we're going to wave that one off and let them try again. Into the tram lanes once again. We're going to try and give them a little more time before they get onto the power. Again, the blue cones are your acceleration point. This time, much better. Green flag in the air down to turn number one. Schiavo with a good jump. Scott Roberts going to slot into second. Michele Boisa into third as they head down to turn one. Schiavo having to defend Roberts around the outside. He'll get a big run through the first turn. Schiavo slides through. Roberts going to try and cross him over. And as they exit turn number two, not able to do it. Scott Roberts still sits in second, and your race leader is still Luis Schiavo. Through turn five, Schiavo continuing to defend. Danny Robertson in the OGP Tony Kart running in the fourth spot. Pete Frisch running in fifth. Correction, no. Frisch on the OGP Tony Kart. And the fourth place driver, Danny Robertson, I believe is a privateer. We'll confirm that as they come by the line, but out in front it's still Schiavo, Roberts, and then a Boisa, but now Roberts gonna go through to the lead. New leader, Scott Roberts through the final turn. Luis Schiavo crosses him over side by side to turn one. Michele Boisa, 3 wide for the lead to turn number one. A Boisa goes through to the top spot. The Brazilian here getting wild to start off heat number one. He'll go all the way down to the grass to defend into three. Now Luis Schiavo under fire for the third spot. He goes way wide. He'll fall all the way down to fifth in line. Roberts still on the bumper of Michele Boisa to turn five. What a battle here to kick things off in Masters Max competition for heat number one. As we exit turn number 7, 8 laps to go this time by. Michele Boisa, your leader. Scott Roberts in second. Be the driver of the number 8 to the steward's office. Driver of the number 8 to the steward's office. Down to turn number 1. Scott Roberts hard on the brakes. He'll give a little nudge to Michele Boisa. Boisa goes wide. Roberts trying to cross him over out of 2. Does not do it. but it does bunch up the field. Danny Robertson, Pete Frisch, Luis Schiavo all battling in that main group. Once again, we need the driver of the number 8 to the steward's office. Driver of the number 8 to the steward's office. Michelle through the back hairpins, bumper to bumper in Masters Max. Oh boy, so the Robertson third. Out of turn number 7 through the S's. Michelle Aboisa holding on as Roberts makes a big bobble through the S's. He gets tripped down rhythm section. Michelle Aboisa with a comfortable gap into the final turn. Battle for second. Again, here comes Danny Robertson, not going to do it, but Michelle Aboisa, a great drive. He will win the first heat race in bumper to bumper in Masters Max. Aboisa, the Robertson third. Out of turn number 7 through the S's. Michelle Aboisa holding on as Roberts makes a big bobble through the S's. He will win the first heat race in bumper to bumper in Masters Max. Aboisa, the Robertson third. Out of turn number 7 through the S's. Michelle Aboisa holding on as Roberts makes a big bobble through the S's. He will win the first heat race in bumper to bumper in Masters Max. Aboisa, the Robertson third. Out of turn number 7 through the S's. Michelle Aboisa holding on as Roberts makes a big bobble through the S's. He will win the first heat race in bumper to bumper in Masters Max. Aboisa, the Robertson third. Out of turn number 7 through the S's. Michelle Aboisa on the racetrack holding on as Roberts makes a big bobble through the S's. Laps in qualifying, remained at more than 0.2 of a second up on every single competitor in the division. He will win the first heat race in bumper to bumper in Masters Max. Aboisa there early, because you know if you let him get away at least at the pace he has from qualifying, he will continue to pull away from everyone. Norberg and Arthur Least are going to make up row number 1. Out of turn number 7 through the S's. Michelle Aboisa on the racetrack on as Roberts makes a big bobble through the S's. Laps in qualifying, remained at more than 0.2 of a second up on every single competitor in the division. He will win the first heat race in bumper to bumper in Masters Max. Aboisa there early, because you know if you let him get away at least at the pace he has from qualifying, he will continue to pull away from everyone. Norberg and Arthur Least are going to make up row number 1. Out of turn number 7 through the S's. Michelle Aboisa on the racetrack on as Roberts makes a big bobble through the S's. Laps in qualifying, remained at more than 0.2 of a second up on every single competitor in the division. He will win the first heat race in bumper to bumper in Masters Max. Aboisa there early, because you know if you let him get away at least at the pace he has from qualifying, he will continue to pull away from everyone. 10 Norberg and Arthur Least day number 1 to make up an official competition. Out of turn number 7 through the Senior Michelle Aboisa on the racetrack on as Roberts makes a big bobble through the S's. U.S. Rotax remained at more than 0.2 of a second. Defensive beginning to line the mechanics stand in the division. He will win the first heat race in bumper to bumper in Masters Max. Aboisa there early. Austin Garrison, row 2. Robertson third. Samuel Lupia row 3, we're going to go side by side
to pull
into the
away
tram
from
lane.
everyone.
All
10
Rotax
Norbert
drivers
lead.
ready to
We're
go.
gonna make
Norbert,
an official
nice
out of
position.
turn number 7
Senior
through the
senior
match.
match.
On the
Racetrack.
Robert, big ball, but it's
Rotax with a great run through the first turn. They'll pull up to the bumper of Norbert going to turn number 1.
Is full halfway through the back here. Pit master for the bumper, and Madison's trying to get by Cowboys.
Jackson through.
Austin
Garrison
Roberts in third.
That's going to be Samuel Lupien in the side by side into the tram lane. All Rotax drivers ready to go. Lupien has Norbert
out of turn number 7 through the senior match. On the Robert, big ball, but it's
Rotax with a great run through the first turn. They'll pull up to the bumper of Norbert going to turn number 1.
Is full halfway through the back here. Number 6 for the bumper, and Madison's trying to get by Cowboys. Roberts in third.
All Rotax drivers ready to go. Norbert has Norbert
out of turn number 7 through the senior match. On the big ball, but it's
great run through the first turn. They'll pull up to the bumper of Norbert going to turn number 1.
not have the pace come halfway through the back here. Number 6 for the bumper, and Madison trying to get by Cowboys. Norbert with a fantastic run in the bottom end power. Out of the first 2 turns on the racetrack.
All Rotax
Arthur Lee still trying to hold back. Matias Ramirez with turn number 7. Ramirez with a great dive down the inside. He'll go through to position number 2. Matias Ramirez to P2.
through the first turn.
They'll pull up to the Arthur Lee P3. Now here comes Austin Garrison to hit the bumper. Car driver to bumper in there. This is the idea of Cowboys with a right behind the arrow in the bottom end power. Out of the first 2 turns on the racetrack.
All Rotax
Arthur Lee still trying to hold back. Matias Ramirez with turn number 7. Ramirez with a great dive down the inside. He'll go through to position number 2. Matias Ramirez to P2.
the first turn.
They'll pull up to the Arthur Lee P3. Now here comes Austin Garrison to hit the bumper. Car driver to bumper in there. This is the idea of Cowboys with a right behind the arrow in the bottom end power. Out of the first 2 turns on the racetrack.
All Rotax
Arthur Lee still trying to hold back. Matias Ramirez with turn number 7. Ramirez with a great dive down the inside. He'll go through to position number 2. Matias Ramirez to P2.
the first turn.
They'll pull up to the Arthur Lee P3. Now here comes Austin Garrison to hit the bumper. Car driver to bumper in there. This is the idea of Cowboys with a right behind the arrow in the bottom end power. Out of the first 2 turns on the racetrack.
All Rotax
Arthur Lee still trying to hold back. Matias Ramirez with turn number 7. Ramirez with a great dive down the inside. He'll go through to position number 2. Matias Ramirez to P2.
the first turn.
They'll pull up to the Arthur Lee P3. Now here comes Austin Garrison to hit the bumper. Car driver to bumper in there. This is the idea of Cowboys with a right behind the arrow in the bottom end power. Out of the first 2 turns on the racetrack.
All Rotax
Arthur Lee still trying to hold back. Matias Ramirez with turn number 7. Ramirez with a great dive down the inside. He'll go through to position number 2. Matias Ramirez to P2.
the first turn.
They'll pull up to the Arthur Lee P3. Now here comes Austin Garrison to hit the bumper. Car driver to bumper in there. This is the idea of Cowboys with a right behind the arrow in the bottom end power. Out of the first 2 turns on the racetrack.
Back to Jet Nolan.
Position to hold back. Matias Ramirez with turn number 7. Ramirez with a great dive down the inside. He'll go through to position number 2. Matias Ramirez to P2.
the first turn.
They'll pull up to the Arthur Lee P3. Now here comes Austin Garrison to hit the bumper. Car driver to bumper in there. This is the idea of Cowboys with a right behind the arrow in the bottom end power. Out of the first 2 position again, back to Jet Nolan. And he'll go through the position number 2. Matias Ramirez will be 2. The four starters, he'll play Arthur Lee's 3 now. Here comes Austin Garrison. And more card player. The ball surrender. We have the idea of the boys on the red with white on the floor. The bottom of the tower. The position again, back to Jet Nolan. And he'll go through the position number 2. Matias Ramirez will be 2. The four starters, he'll play Arthur Lee's 3 now. Here comes Austin Garrison. And more card player. The ball surrender. We have the idea of the boys on the red with white on the floor. The bottom of the tower. The position again, back to Jet Nolan. And he'll go through the position number 2. Matias Ramirez will be 2. The four starters, he'll play Arthur Lee's 3 now. Here comes Austin Garrison. And more card player. The ball surrender. We have the idea of the boys on the red with white on the floor. The bottom of the tower. The position again, back to Jet Nolan. And he'll go through the position number 2. Matias Ramirez will be 2. The four starters, he'll play Arthur Lee's 3 now. Here comes Austin Garrison. And more card player. The ball surrender. We have the idea of the boys on the red with white on the floor. The bottom of the tower. The position again, back to Jet Nolan. And he'll go through the position number 2. Matias Ramirez will be 2. The four starters, he'll play Arthur Lee's 3 now. Here comes Austin Garrison. And more card player. The ball surrender. We have the idea of the boys on the red with white on the floor. The bottom of the tower. The position again, back to Jet Nolan. And he'll go through the position number 2. Matias Ramirez will be 2. The four starters, he'll play Arthur Lee's 3 now. Here comes Austin Garrison. And more card player. The ball surrender. We have the idea of the boys on the red with white on the floor. The bottom of the tower. The position again, back to Jet Nolan. And he'll go through the position number 2. Matias Ramirez will be 2. The four starters, he'll play Arthur Lee's 3 now. Here comes Austin Garrison. And more card player. The ball surrender. We have the idea of the boys on the red with white on the floor. The bottom of the tower. The position again, back to Jet Nolan. And he'll go through the position number 2. Matias Ramirez will be 2. The four starters, he'll play Arthur Lee's 3 now. Here comes Austin Garrison. And more card player. The ball surrender. We have the idea of the boys on the red with white on the floor. The bottom of the tower. To Jet Nolan. And he'll go through the position number 2. Matias Ramirez will be 2. The four starters, he'll play Arthur Lee's 3 now. Here comes Austin Garrison. And more card player. The ball surrender. We have the idea of the boys on the red with white on the floor. The bottom of the tower. To Jet Nolan. And he'll go through the position number 2. Matias Ramirez will be 2.
Still trying to work together to catch the top 2. They'll need quite a bit more battling to be able to do that as they run in 3rd and 4th. Battle for 5th, Jet Nolan down the inside of Victor Franzoni in turn number 11. He'll complete the changes. Garrison, a late move on the brakes on Arthur Lee's. He'll go back into 3rd. Ryan Norberg trying to fight back right now, but Matias Ramirez is very strong. This time by, it'll be the double sticks for the final race of the day. 2 laps to go for Matias Ramirez, and he's got a 4-card advantage as he'll come to the line this time. Ryan Norberg did close a little bit to the final turn on the racetrack. Here with 2 to go, the gap 4 car lengths between the two drivers. Norberg hard onto the brakes into turn number 1. Really driving hard now in the PSL karting for Elhart. Norberg closing the gap a little more now to turn number 3. Oh, he'll drop into the grass under braking or something amiss with Norberg. Ryan Norberg with a problem. He comes to a slow entering turn number 3. Ryan Norberg with a heavy puff of smoke getting into the braking zone at turn number 3, and that will end his day with a lap and a half to go. Battling for the lead, Ryan Norberg has to suffer a DNF as a mechanical failure into the braking zone of the first of 3 hairpins sidelines him. It was shaping up to be a great battle, too, to round off the day for Norberg versus Matias Ramirez. Ramirez heading into turn number 1, just coasting now, cruise control for Ramirez as they're all out battling here for second. Austin Garrison and Arthur Lease going toe-to-toe in turns 1 and 2. Still, even with Norberg's failure, I'm not sure how well that fight might have fared between Norberg and Ramirez. He was definitely there just with the draft and enough speed, even with Matias Ramirez, but both drivers have quite a bit of international and national level race experience and racecraft over the years to be able to go right back and forth with each other. As Ramirez leads the way through the S's for the final time, it'll be a breakthrough win to finally get some relief after working so hard for the past 2 months here with the Anderson Racing team to get them going. His first heat race win of the new year, Matias Ramirez wins Heat 1 in Senior Max. Austin Garrison holds on to finish in second. Arthur Least finishes in third. Fourth is going to go to Jet Nolan. Fifth will go to the Zanardi of Victor Franzoni. Sixth going to go to Max Hewitt. Side by side for seventh. It looks like Action Jackson may have held back Lane Vakala. Ninth to Justin O'Hara. 10th, the Racing Edge Motorsports Cosmic of Logan Cusson. That is going to wrap up today's action. We've enjoyed having you with us on the broadcast here. Again, my name is Xander Clemens for Max Speed Entertainment's live crew and, of course, all of our partners here at the 2017 VCI, powered by AM Engines Florida Winter Tour, presented by Fixie Wheels. A huge thank you, as always, to Motorsport.com. Motorsport.com for coming on board as our digital media partner. It's getting a little bit breezy up where I am, which is why I have my jacket on to wrap up today. But it was a little bit hot earlier on, and we had some pretty hot racing on the racetrack where things really heated up here in the first round of races. 2 more rounds of heat races will follow, and then come Sunday, it'll be time for pre-finals and main events here in the Rotax Max Challenge, second round of the Florida Winter Tour. Finally, we hope you have enjoyed this live broadcast, whether you watched it through Facebook Live on the Max Speed Entertainment official page, through Race Monitor, our official live timing and scoring app, or if you watched it directly on the Max Speed Entertainment official website. Thank you for tuning in here today. Again, my name's Xander Clemens. For everyone here in the paddock, the Max Speed Entertainment officials, and the Max Speed Entertainment live crew, we're signing off, and we'll see you tomorrow morning with heat number 2.